start. So again, thank you all very much for having us tonight or today morning. We really appreciate that so many different people from so many countries have connected. Like we are really excited to have you all here. So today I'm going to be giving a short talk on how we use crowdsourcing for like data labeling for different machine learning applications. I'll also show you how integral crowdsourcing is for machine learning pipelines, and I'll also share you our experience with crowdsourcing for many years, and I'll show you different use cases and examples. So hopefully my talk will be useful to you and for your work. I saw that people have started introducing themselves in the chat. That's really cool. You can continue doing this and maybe tell me more whether you had any experience with crowdsourcing before or not. This would be very useful for us, to get to know our audience. So my talk will be, I think, no more than like 30 minutes. Then we'll have a 10-minute demo. Maciek, who is our crowd solutions architect at Talaka, he will show you a very quick demo of the platform. And then hopefully we'll have another like 10 or 15 minutes to have a Q&A. So please write your questions in the chat if you don't want to, wait until the end, or we can just have a conversation later. Okay, so let's start without further ado. Today we are going to be talking about data labeling. However, as we all might be knowing, and that's not a secret, that there are three different pillars that contribute to the quality of AI products. So the first pillar is algorithms, the second is hardware, and the third is data. So people really have invested a lot of time and efforts to develop the first two pillars. And right now, pretty much any engineer anywhere in the world can use different like sources and services and platforms to get the model for their AI products, or to use different like computational facilities at their own convenience. However, data has been very overlooked for many years. And what we see now, that data and like high quality data on very large production volumes is a bottleneck right now. However, people have started talking and have started thinking about the quality of the data. They know that right now, like it's not enough to have really good working models or having like huge computational facilities. Now you have to think that your products have to be using ethical data, diverse data, and of course, like the better the data, the better your product is. So today we will be talking about the third pillar, and we will be showing how to basically get higher quality data using crowdsourcing. I'm not going to introduce myself once more. However, I'll just add that my team at Talaka is responsible for helping the requesters to integrate crowdsourcing in their AI production pipelines. And also we teach crowdsourcing at universities and different data analysis schools. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Let me just take a step back for a moment and say how Taloca appeared. So Taloca has been used by Yandex, which is one of the largest IT companies in Europe, which specializes mainly in search and also in other services. And Taloca has been a data labeling provider for search, for self-driving cars, like for voice assistants, for e-commerce, for like maps and other like services for like more than 10 years. And all those services that you see on the slide have been using Taloca, which we are really proud of. And Taloca originated around like 10 years ago as an infrastructure for search. It was mainly used for evaluating the quality of search results. Then it grew into the infrastructure for the whole Yandex company. And as I said, like right now we're providing data like constantly on production levels every single day, like for self-driving, voice, and others. And then we became like an infrastructure for many external requesters or other IT companies. And our ambition is to become an infrastructure for the whole AI industry in the future. So indeed, when you look at the ML production pipeline, you can see that pretty much at every single step, human labeling is critical. So whenever we are speaking about training a model or validating how the model works like before implementing into production, or controlling the model and controlling the quality of the performance of the model inside like the whole production loop, or when we speak about the retraining, the human labeled data is needed at every single step and in very large volumes. So basically this is Talaka for you in one slide. And Taloca as a word, some people probably were interested, what does this actually mean? This word like signifies an ancient Slavic tradition, and it was applied when different people in different villages decided to get together and solve one particular problem. For example, they were gathering harvest, or they were building bridges or roads. So this was all like this activity was called Taloka. And if we take it to our modern world right now, Talaka is an open crowdsourcing platform, and basically it means exactly this. It means that many different people get together on one platform to solve one high level problem. So Taloka is basically a two-sided marketplace. On one side, we have performers, or we call them talokers. Those are thousands of people who come to our platform daily to work and do some different micro tasks. And we, on another side, we have requesters. Those are usually like machine learning engineers, researchers, data scientists, or managers from different IT companies, small or large, basically those people who need data for different purposes. And they all come together on our platform and and some label data, some get their data labeled. So if we look at our platform very closely, we have around 9 million talkers available at every single time zone. As you can see, we have people from different countries speaking very different languages, including English, Spanish, Arabic, Portuguese, and German, of course. So now that was very quick. That was really quick introduction about our platform and about the nature of the work that we do. But I want to put more emphasis on the use cases and maybe some mechanisms that lies behind the platform. So right now I'm just going to show you a number of different use cases that Taloka is solving right now or was solving constantly for different purposes. So when we think about different tasks that are being labeled on our platform, we can categorize them into three different groups. So the first one is content collection, another one is data annotation, and the third one is business decision making. So I'm going to run through every single one of those. When we speak about content collection, the first thing that comes into our mind, and the first, one of the most popular things, is audio collection. So audio collection is usually used for training different voice assistants, whether you think about like Alexa from Amazon, or like in Yandex we have Alisa, we have like smaller groups. They all need a lot of voice, different wake words and trigger words for their voice assistants. So this is an example of an actual interface of the task that a talker sees and has to record his voice. The pipeline that lies behind this task is very simple. So the first task that a Talaka performer has to do basically is to say something, and then another group of performers will have to check it. So that's how we check, the quality that the phrases were given correct and in a very good manner. Another very interesting case about content collection is spatial crowdsourcing. This is not very I would say straightforward, but it's one of the most interesting cases on our platform, because people don't need to sit at their table, at their desk, and work on the computer or on their phone. They have to go somewhere to a certain location and gather some information there. We can also call it pedestrian crowdsourcing. So for example, for map services, we ask performers to go to a certain restaurant or cafe or an organization and to update the information about their opening hours, or whether this place exists or not, Like sadly, this happened in pandemia. A lot of places have closed, so we ask performers to go to the streets and check it out and update our maps in the real time. So that's how the interface for performers looks like. Here you see a map of Moscow. A performer sees different tasks available for him. He chooses the tasks, come to a location, and he has to basically take a photo and submit another information if you need to. So the pipeline for these tasks is much more complicated because here we use different, different projects. So some performers come to the location, another performer who sits from his house, for example, checks if the photo is correct or if it's a good quality photo. Another performer also double checks him. So this is a different pipeline, but the task itself, it's quite common. And the last, I believe, case with the content collection is basically collecting some information from the internet. So, for example, if you want to update your catalog, or like you would say, like enrich your data with some information, we would also ask performers to do that. In this case, you can see that we ask performers to update some information about the actor. This could be used in any like online movie website or something. Another group, and this is of course the most popular group for the crowdsourcing platforms, like not only Talaka but all over the world, like that's like the main focus usually, is the data annotation. This is just an illustrative example of many different cases that we have. And you can see that most of those cases are completed within a very small amount of time and at a very, very low cost for the requester. So first example that I wanted to show you is the search relevance results. This is very common for all services that are using search. So right now, if you think about whether it's a classical search or whether it's some like, I don't know, like website, like with magazine or e-commerce or anything else, all of them are using search. And like whoever gets the most relevant search, that's where the users usually go. So that's how requesters try to get their search, relevant, and they ask the performers to look at the query, to look at the results page, and indicate whether it's relevant or not, or like you can do even some like more, in detail things like useful or vital or something else. And that's how we work on search using crowdsourcing. Another thing is the ads relevance evaluation. You can see the example of the interface here. So the logic behind is quite the same. Like with all the digital advertisement, we want to show the relevant ads to the relevant people. So here we ask the performers exactly to say whether, whether the ads result really matches the query. Another thing which is not related to search, but it's also about data annotation, is the object segmentations used usually for computer vision. On this slide, we see a photo from space. This photo did not take Jeff Bezos, but still. So you can see here that the performers have outlined, I believe it's like a very long lake. So those could be used for like maps or something. And here we see an example of the interface from self-driving cars. And as you can see, this is a pretty complicated task. This is a 3D cloud segmentation. And even those kind of tasks can be, applied using crowdsourcing. The only thing is that you need to train those people, like pre-train. Another one is, again, very, very common, is audio transcription. Again, this is usually for training some voice assistants. And here you can see an interface with an audio where we ask the performer to actually write out what did he hear. Another task is all other like NLP related tasks. So here we can see basically a named entity recognition task. Usually it's also very common and used for different like text stuff. And another, like one of the last cases, and I think it's very interesting ones, is validating auto-translate. We know that like right now, probably everybody is using machine translations, like either it's Google Translate, like Yandex Translate, or like Bing Translate. And usually, we don't get as good translation as we want. Like either it looks like it was translated by a robot, or it's not accurate enough. So in this case, a translator was trying to improve its services by showing a translation to the performers and then asking like which translation would be better or not. So in this way, like you can improve a machine translator, and I think it's really cool. And another one is, of course, moderation of user-generated content. For example, here we see a comment about the restaurant, and we ask a performer whether it's an actual feedback or maybe it's spam or something else. And moderation, of course, it's very common in crowdsourcing, because unfortunately, not everything can be detected by machine, not yet. So of course, like the most ambiguous or the most complicated cases usually go to crowdsourcing. So that's how, for example, here the pipeline will look like. So first, like, and of course, like moderation is such a sensitive topic, like in most sites, content has to be moderated 24/7. Like there are a lot of issues that cannot be shown. So of course, usually like the moderation is used with the algorithms, however, like constantly every minute. And once it detects something that it cannot really recognize, then it goes to crowdsourcing. So those, it's just a typical example of a human in the loop pipeline, basically. And another and the last group is product decision making and market research. And here we are speaking about gathering different opinions from the crowd. For example, side by side. Basically, if you are developing some new design, or you're developing I don't know, a new picture of something, a new logo, or something like visual, for example, you will ask the crowd basically their opinion before implementing this in your implementing this in real life. So you can see here, for example, it works very easily. We show like two different options to the performers and ask, what do you like, left or right? And they don't spend a lot of time on this, and then you get a lot of like information that helps you do different decision making. Like for example, at Yandex, at such a huge IT company, we never release anything until it actually goes through the crowd and gets a majority vote there. So that's quite interesting. And sometimes it even gets even more complicated. For example, for e-commerce, we ask the performers whether one thing, like one clothing thing, I don't know, whether the hat matches a t-shirt, or whether something goes well with something else. So like you can play with all those opinions because they're all kind of like at the convenience of your hand. Well, you probably right now, after I've shown you different use cases, some of you might think that, okay, so there are so many different use cases and so much crowd actually works on this. Like, are you sure that they give you really right quality? Are you sure that you have diligent enough people who want to actually work and who want to give you, good feedback and good response? So of course, those questions are always on our mind, and we believe that it is a responsibility of a requester, a person who is on another side, a person who is building those different pipelines, to think about quality controls. Because of course, when you work with someone on the platform, all of those performers are anonymous. You have to always think about how can you control the quality. And by the way, I have shown you different examples of how the data is used for different machine learning applications. Taloka itself is also using machine learning. Very surprising. But of course, we use machine learning to improve our own services at the platform, basically. So what we ask is for the performers to rate the requesters, to rate the projects they take. And we also ask the requesters to also like rate their performers, to do different quality controls, and to tag their projects. And then we use some machine learning magic, I would say, and we match the right requesters with the right performers. So this way we are trying, first of all, of course, to minimize the time to search, like between searching for different projects and getting the right people to collaborate with each other. And of course, we think about the quality on a very large scale. However, when we think about requester performer collaboration, we ask and we really promote this approach that as a requester, you have to manage this process, like as a software engineer. Like you have to manage, you have to build a pipeline or an architecture and manage as yet another computing cluster, but not manage crowdsourcing as a people. And here, what I mean by that. So first, you have to think about how to select performers. You know that those people, they come to your platform, some spend 5 minutes, some spend an hour, some spend like 7 hours a day, and they all are like, they don't owe you anything. So basically, you really have to think about how to just select the parameters to what your performers have to adhere. Then you have to think about the training that every single performer has to take. Like, for example, when we were speaking about the tasks such as like search relevance or like tasks for self-driving cars, those are very complicated tasks. And here we want the performers to first train to understand what you want from them and show you that they have learned. So that's kind of like in school, basically. So they take a training that you offer them, then they take an exam. If they fail, they don't get to work on your main tasks. If they don't fail, if they do well, they get to your main tasks, and sometimes you even could reward them and do something else to improve their productivity. And of course, there are project level quality controls that Taloka offers. So this could be either different like golden sets or, you know, different tools for verification that you will see in the demo. And last, very important point, of course, is the aggregation of the results and analysis. So in crowdsourcing, really, we like most often use overlap, meaning that we give the same type of information to many different people, and then we aggregate these tasks to get the most reliable signal after this. So as you can see, there are I would say like 4 universal steps that you have to take care about when you will be building your process of labeling the data on a large scale. But this is very, I would say, even better, you know, than just dealing with people with different, you know, characteristics and stuff, because this is a very universal pipeline, robust to different mistakes or, you know, unpredictability. So again, you can treat your pipeline as just another computing cluster, and we have an API for that. You don't have to do anything by hand, especially if you have some human in the loop processes. You can have an API, and we also have an open source client where you can get some inspiration for different examples or algorithms or aggregation methods. So I'll ask Katya to send the links in the chat. Please check out our GitHub if you want to. So I'll take another 5 minutes before we delve into our demo. But as I said, crowdsourcing is not a very straightforward things, and that's why you have to learn crowdsourcing. It's not really about just using the platform. It's something more than that. It's about the methodology. And we see that right now, of course, like machine learning is developing with extreme paces, and we know that, you know, as AI is developing, the data will be more and more and more in demand. And the people who know how to build those processes, they will be even more in demand with the future. And right now we even see the demand on Talaka, for example. We have a job board where we see different companies, including Bloomberg, Microsoft, and others, who are looking for people who are in charge of data labeling in their companies. So if you're wondering how to learn crowdsourcing, like we at Taloka established Taloka Academy. It's our initiatives to basically meet the demand for those people who know how to build their robust processes to collect and label the data. So we offer different courses, tutorials, and different talks also. So as I've mentioned, that we have this experience that we have been collecting for many years at Yandex, and right now we are really eager to share this with different communities, and I really hope you find this talk useful for you. So whenever you want, you can just come to our tutorial. Those are hands-on. We share the methodology that we've been collecting for many years, and also our lectures are the actual practitioners. So for example, the lecture on NLP will be shared by the engineer from voice assistant team, and the lecture on self-drivings will be taught by the person from self-driving cars team who is in charge of labeling, and so on and so forth. And of course, by the way, if you want to just look up something online, we have a course on Coursera. This is a very introductory course, but it gives you some basics for the methodology. And also we teach some courses at different universities. So all in all, we'd be happy to collaborate, of course. And we also offer different research grants and student plans. So please visit our websites. Reach out to me. I'm always happy, to do something together, to organize some knowledge exchange sessions. And I hope my talk was useful to you. I'm looking forward to our Q&A. Please welcome Maciek. He will give you a 10-minute demo of our platform. And thank you for joining us and listening to me. Thanks. Maciek, the floor is yours. Share your screen whenever you're ready.
All right. I think I'm ready, so I'll start sharing my screen.
Okay.
So my name is Maciek, and I
turn on the video if you can. It would be also nice.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. This should be it. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Right. So my name is Maciek, and I currently work as a crowdsourcing solutions architect at Talaka, and I'm going to give you a quick tour of the Taloca user interface. So this is the main user interface page that you will see once you've successfully registered at taloca.ai. This is the list of your projects. You can have as many projects as you feel. And the most important areas of the interface are obviously the project list, create a project, and your current balance, and that you can have an income history and the money that you've reserved for paying your performers. And I'm going to walk you through some of the tabs. On the user tab, you're going to see users that have been involved in performing in all the tasks that you've created and successfully launched. All you can see and know about the user is the user ID. All the personal information is anonymized. The number of tasks, the money earned, a rating, country, and age. And I saw a question about selecting performers by age and country. Yes, that can be done by filters once you set up your project and you're ready to start filling up the project with data that is going to be annotated. Then we have skills. This is a collection of the sort of, they work as filters. So your performers can excel at certain tasks and that are generally available, or you can create your own custom skill. And then once you run a project, your performers learn as they go, and then they gain skills, and then you can use that skill. So profile is general information about your account, and we're going to be moving forward to a template section. So this is the section when you can get to by create a project. To get you started real quick, we've prepared a selection of templates that cover most of typical labeling cases. Obviously, if you feel like starting from scratch and designing your project all the way through, you can use a blank template. But for majority of use cases, we prepared ready-made templates. For image and video, there's text data. We have audio data, as was shown in Daria's presentation, data enrichment, spatial crowdsourcing. This is the part that Daria talked about when you let the performers out into the wild and they basically go and find places for you. That's the entire selection of templates. You can obviously choose any, and then that's going to be populated with default settings. You can preview, get a quick glance of what is going to look like. So this is a default user interface that's prepared for that template. Obviously, you can customize it to your needs and likes. And now I'm going to show you what a project is going. So that's a profile. Oh, you can communicate with your performers. Yeah, they can send messages to you as the requester. You can get back to them, read their feedback, which is very valuable when you design your projects and launch them, so you can learn from their experiences and improve your project's design, rate, and anything that they will tell you about. So what we're going to do today is going to be a very simple image classification project, where we're going to ask performers to tell us whether they see a cat or a dog in the picture. And this, I think I've skipped one. Okay, so once you start your project, you create it. This is the edit project section. So I'm going to move this because we're going to be jumping from that in that direction. So this is where you put your general information. As you can see, there's a rating. So keeping your performers happy is important because they can respond to your design, your how much you're paying, how you've selected the data, and how you've described the instructions and so on. So it's pretty interactive. This is the section where you can tune up your task interface. As I said, you can either use what we call a template builder that uses a JSON structure, or HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. There's a preview of what is here. Down below, there's a very important part where you put instructions for performers. This is one of the most important elements of a good design when it comes to launching a project. And you can also launch your projects in multiple languages. This is where you select your translations. So once we have a project created, edited, we are going to be creating pools. And pools basically are containers for the data that you as a requester want the performers to annotate, to work with. And we're going to be launching one live, hopefully it's going to complete real quick. So we're going to be launching this one. I have opened this interface for the pool. So nothing important, nothing yet here, but this is just an overview of your pool statistics once it completes. So as I'm going to be talking about what we have here, I'm just going to launch it, and we're going to wait and see how performers from all over the world do our task. You can track live pool statistics data. So there's only one person interested in the pool already, but that's going to change. This is where you choose between how fast you want to get the task done or how well you want to get the task done. So that might be an important factor whenever you're going to be designing your tasks. These are pool settings. We're not going to go in too much detail. This is price in dollars. This is what the performers are going to be paid once the tasks are accepted. This is the default time per task. An overlap, this is an important one, this is how many times we're going to show one image, one task to performers, just to make sure that we get the correct answer. So this is what it looks like on the performer site via the web browser interface. We can even complete this one. So that's not a cat, but why not? That's a dog, and then so on and so forth. Let's go back and see if we have any results already. Let's wait. That might take a while. While it reloads. So that's the interface that I already showed you. Waiting, reloading. Right. So we're halfway through. So we have completed 3 tasks, and then there are 3 tasks that are accepted. We do automated acceptance. This is the approximate finish time. We should be just there. So
Maciek, while we are waiting, maybe you can also give more information about the filters, like if you go into the edit, because people are asking.
Sure, yeah. So while we're, as Dara suggested, while we were waiting, I can show you filters. So this is where you edit your pool settings, and for this is how you select your performers. So this is the filters that I mentioned. As you can see, this is how you choose the right selection of performers for a given task you create. What we have here is the performer profile has to match the language English, and then we give access to this task to Talaka web version, which is what we are seeing right now, and it's also available for mobile users. This is the section where we do quality control, and this is where we can also make sure that our performers are not cheating us of our money. So if they, for example, skip too many tasks in a row, we're going to put them sort of on hold to rethink their behavior. And this is our control task, where we have conditions controlling the quality. The overlap is set here. I've mentioned that one. We specify how many performers we want to complete each task in the pool. And again, the balance between speed and quality, which is set here somewhere in the middle. So let's cancel out and see if our pool is almost done. So let's go and see 83% completed. So maybe we can have a short Q&A while we're waiting, because that should complete in any time now.
Yeah, but I think we can take the questions. So should we just take the questions from the chat, or do we open the floor to our attendees?
Yeah.
Yes, I think we could just go through the chat for the questions, and also remind for the, if anybody want to speak to ask questions, feel free to raise your hand. We can unmute you to speak to ask questions.
All right. So let me just go through the chat quickly and see what we haven't answered yet and what not. Yeah, so there was a question how Talaka charge the requesters. We have a 30% commission flat. So this is, you can also see it on the dashboards that Maciek is showing right now. We will post the links to Coursera and to open source stuff, of course, in the chat. And also, hopefully, there will be a follow-up after meetup. And there was a question about whether we can have high school students as the performers. So if your performers are above 18 years of age and they're still in high school, you can have those performers, but they have to be 18. There is an interesting question about, can a Talaka customer select performers with a particular type of color blindness? Well, I think this is pretty hard, I guess, to test, because we have some, as Maciek said, some filters on the platform, and also if you want to have some like extra knowledge, you should also like implement some tests. However, on the color blindness, I can't even imagine like what kind of tests you can do to evaluate it, to evaluate the person who sits behind the computer. So I don't know, maybe there are some creative tests for that. I can't say that it's impossible, but it seems so. So there is another question from Mark. Is it feasible to ask the performers to read short one-page screenplays and ask them for notes? How can I make this funnier? Well, you can ask the performers, of course, to give you opinion on anything. However, like even one page, sometimes it's long to ask the performers to read all the time. However, you can definitely try, but I think it would be like one of the interesting crowdsourcing tasks for sure. So Maciek, I think, has his pool labeled. And anyways, just wanted to say that if you guys want to try Taloka, or if you want to get like a promo code, or you want to ask some grant for research, we usually give grants in around like for another like $500. So please reach out to me or to Ekaterina, and we'll be happy to.
So we can see the results from requesters, performers, and as you can see, this is just from one performer, and we can see the selections, and they look pretty accurate to me.
Yeah, I think they managed with the task, but again, like this task is very, it's a demonstrative case. Of course, usually
we can aggregate.
Yeah, we don't ask performers to, to label dogs or cats. Usually something more complicated. However, for
what I've just done is I asked for an aggregation of the results, so we can have a combined pool. We take all the answers from performers, and we just basically aggregate the results to have like a final decision on whether it's a cat or a dog there. So we can continue with questions, I guess. This should complete within minutes as well. So hopefully we're going to see this as a final result. And that would be the end of the live demo.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so there are two more questions. Let me just. So can you compare a few crowdsourcing platforms, pros or cons, like Amazon Mechanical Turns, Cogito? So I can only maybe speak about Amazon Mechanical Turk right now, and if my colleagues wants to add something, let me know. So Taloka is different to Amazon Mechanical Turk in terms of different languages that we offer on the platform. Like our platform is very global, and I've mentioned this in the introduction, but we are prominent from South Pacific all the way like through the countries in Africa and all the way to Latin American and South American countries. And also as a platform for those who have used Amazon Mechanical Turk, you can see the interface of Taloka is much more user-friendly, and we have many more additional inbuilt techniques such as dynamic overlaps, dynamic pricing, and other like smart tools for quality controls or motivation of people. And also there is another question. It's about, I'm curious, so I'm reading it now. I'm curious on the methodology of efficient tasks management you mentioned. Can you elaborate more on that? Yes, so basically, whenever we want to label data for a certain problem, we always have to think about 5 different key things. And usually we, we dedicate quite some time about those 5 steps in our like tutorials or even semester courses. So those 5 steps are, and you have seen most of them when Maciek was launching his tasks. So the first is decomposition of the task. Yeah, I see, just a second. So decomposition, then you have to think about how to write an instruction. Then you have to think about the interface creation. Then you think about quality control, and you think about different like pricing and different motivations on how you can motivate your performers to stay longer. And the last step is aggregation. That's what Maciek has shown you right now.
Yeah, I guess this should be it. So these are the results after aggregation, and what we can see here is so this image should be 100% cat. So let's just check that one in a second. So I'll just scroll down. So this is just raw data in a tab separated value of file. As you can see that in this very simple example, the aggregation, it tells us that we can be pretty sure of the results. So let me just jump back to web browser, and so yeah, that looks like a cat, or actually 2 cats. So, and that had 100% accuracy. So I guess this we can conclude the demo with these beautiful 2 cats, and maybe move on to some more Q&A.
Yeah, so it was 200% with 2 cats.
Yeah.
So we see that our organizers also shared the research paper that was done by our research team. Thank you so much. Very nice. It's very, I don't know, it's very pleasant. Thank you so much for sharing this. There is the last question I see in the chat. Oh, there's another one. Okay, well, there is a question from Mark. He's asking, are there parties where a bunch of people get together and do tasks for fun? In Taloca, I don't know, I don't think we have done it yet, but you can also try to gather a party. You can do a spatial crowdsourcing party. You can just, put a task, ask performers to come to a certain location, and then have a good time together. And then there is another question from Dave. Is Taloca a spin out from Yandex? Exactly, it is. And Talaka has been an infrastructure platform for a long time. However, we decided to spin out. And right now we are a separate Swiss entity, a Swiss legal entity. And basically, we are ready to serve the global market. Then I have a question. Can I work in Talaka? We, by the way, offer. This is a personal question, but I'm just saying, yes, we are hiring. We are hiring people from all over the world. We are hiring engineers. We are hiring different developer advocates, evangelists, or people who are just passionate about data excellence and data labeling. So also, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Like, we are growing very fast, and we hope that if you want to, you'll join us. So thank you very much for this question as well. Are there any more questions for tonight?
Again, just a quick reminder, if you when you post questions, make sure select to everyone so everyone else can see the questions. I think some questions just post to me, to the host, so I have to reshare. And also, if you prefer to speak to ask questions, feel free to raise your hand, and it's open discussions. Feel free to speak to ask questions if you want.
Yeah, so
we have a few more minutes. Please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, let's just spend a couple of minutes, and then you cut me off whenever you feel like it. So there is a question about the research grants, and there's a question: are there any competitive? Do you send any idea? Yes, Ekaterina sent a link to our research grants. So basically, you do have to describe your idea. However, we are welcoming, any crazy ideas. We are really open-minded about this. So the only thing you actually need to formalize it and to send it to us, and then I think there will be no problems here. There's another question: can a Talaka customer select performers whose college major was in math? I think we have a filter for universities, I believe so, but for like majors, I don't believe we have an inbuilt filter. However, you can just either send a survey if you trust it. If you don't trust a survey asking like what major did you do in college, you can even give them more advanced questions, and only then filter them and give them access to your main tasks. So I think that's also manageable, and serving them, just giving service for the general audience. Yes, I think that's it for the questions for now.
Great. Anybody have last minute questions? Again, I just allow everybody to speak, so you can feel free to.
I just have one final question. Which country is Talaka based in?
So we are based in many different countries. So our headquarters is in Switzerland. However, our sales headquarters is in Austin, Texas. And we have offices in Russia. We have offices in Moscow and St. Petersburg. And we have people sitting like not in actual like physical offices, but in many countries, such as we have people in Indonesia, in India, Canada, Poland. Maciek sits in Poland, and some other countries I might just forgot, but like the physical offices are in 3 different countries for now. And we are really, I would say, like distributed team. So most of us have been working remotely even before this whole thing with the pandemic happened.
Thank you.
I hope it answers your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yes, if you're in the US, if you're in Texas, you can come say hi in Austin office.
I'm in New Jersey. I'm just wondering about the hiring. Where would I be?
Like we have people in the US, like not only in Texas, we have people in Florida, in California. So I mean, New Jersey, it would be also okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I just got a questions from one of the attendees. They're asking about any like hands-on tutorials to get started on. Any plans to host those in the near future?
Yeah, so we have a hands-on tutorial scheduled for 25th of August, which will be like in a month. If you are wondering, please reach out to me. I have my email on the last page of the slide or LinkedIn. Just let me know, I'll include you. But maybe we can share later, like in the follow-up, the link to the registration if you want to also join, of course.
Yes, please share those links and I can send it to all attendees at follow-up emails.
Sure. Yeah.
Great. Is any questions? Again, if anybody have other questions, feel free to reach out to us, to the speakers. Well, thank you so much for everybody joining the sessions today. I hope you learned some things. Since this is the virtual event, but I still want to give the speakers visual applause. And if you can turn on your cameras, if you want to, turn on your microphones, give the speakers a round of applause.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you a lot. We appreciate it.
You can also send the clap to